general policies. And I'm sure that if the Republicans really looked at their policies and say, what are we going to do that is in the interest of people we're reaching out to, they could come with some policies that would appeal to some of us. They've not done that at all. I mean, the support of voter suppressive methods, the support of other things that would change many of the things that have boosted our community is something that they can't even get to first base. So I'm not even saying come on and believe in everything I believe, but come with some policies that approach our interest. And I think that we haven't even seen that attempt, Michael.
Absolutely. That's absolutely right.
And I think that for anyone to say that the president is divisive, divisive how? You know, it reminds me, I was reading on the internet the other night, both of you could appreciate it, where a guy wrote that, I see Sharpton out there mainstream now with his NAN and with TV, but I remember when he was a polarizing figure in Bensonhurst and Howard Beach. Like, I caused the I went there because they killed people for being in the neighborhood. I went there because of polarization. I didn't bring the polarization, but that's how we look. So the nation is polarized when Obama becomes president, and he becomes the author of polarization. Give me a break. Thank you both for being with us another Thursday. Dr. Taylor Tatum, New York Amsterdam News. Michael Cotman at blackamericaweb.com. Thank my executive producer, Fatim Muhammad. Thank my technical producer, Lee Majors. Don't forget tonight and every night, 6 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 o'clock Central Time. Watch me on Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live on MSNBC. Don't forget to call or pre-register. Be with me at the National Action Network National Convention. Go to nationalactionnetwork.net or call 1-877-626-4651. Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody. Reverend Al told you personally. Keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. Talk to you tomorrow. Keep it real.
South Carolina, the nation, and the world. We put it all in perspective with Armstrong Williams up next on WGCV 620 AM.
The views and opinions expressed on this broadcast are not necessarily those of WGCV 620 AM, its staff or management, or our parent company.
Good God! I got to ask you, what we need? Soul food. Henry Soul Food. No, we need it. Soul Food. Henry Soul Food. No, I like it. Soul Food. Henry Soul Food. No, we need it. Soul Food. Henry Soul Food. Hit me.
Home of the sweet potato pie. Even the keenest taste buds will tell you the best food on the planet. Large enough to serve you and small enough to know you. So get the Henrys at 5431 Indian Head Highway, Oxon Hill, Maryland, or give us a call at 301-749-6856.
Soul food. Henry Soul Food. What we need? Soul food. Henry Soul Food.
Welcome to the Armstrong Williams Show, brought to you by Golden Crust Bakery, the fastest growing Caribbean-owned franchise in the United States. Golden Crust is committed to the delivery of quality food and excellent customer service. Visit them today at goldencrustbakery.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Armstrong Williams Show. Thank you so much for joining me. I have missed Dr. Barbara Fleischer and Dr. Thelma Reese like you would not believe. I said, where have they gone? It's just been too long. I had this longing. I said, something is missing. What am I missing? And then Nancy, I've been out at meetings all day, and I walked in the door. Nancy said, "Guess what?" I said, "What is it?" "They're back." I said,
Oh, we're here.
I said, "Who's
You
back?"
thought it was safe.
I said, "Who's back?" They said, "Reese and Fleischer." I said, "Is that a new singing group?"
Unfortunately, you can't see us dance and sing.
Oh,
Yeah, you don't want to hear us sing.
I'm just so happy that my two pals are back from a long vacation. Hello, Dr. Reese.
Hello, Armstrong.
It is so good hearing laughter, joy.
Yes.
And Dr. Fleischer, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm terrific. I'm looking forward to our conversation, as I always do, and I missed it too.
Well, good. I'm glad that I am not alone in this love affair we're having right now. Oh.
No, I always leave a lot of thoughts on my mind. Well, I never thought about that before. It's really great.
You know, you only die once. So it's,
As far as we know.
yeah. And as far as we know, it's very difficult to anticipate the ultimate moment when we would need to be ready to leave this life that we enjoy so much behind. And, you know, for some people, that moment happens unexpectedly, so we can't prepare for it. And for others, the path that leads to the end is long and bumpy and painful and emotional. And yet it seems there are also people who find final steps are natural and relatively painless. Now, I'm not a physician, nor a geriatric expert. And I'm only going to deal with my gut feeling today, and that is my integrity compels me to share that. What if people are helped by what they have in mind? Wouldn't it be a shame if we kept ideals to ourselves and are unafraid to speak up?
Mm-hmm.
And my hunch is, and I know Dr. Fleischer went through this with her husband because a part of her died also, is that the way we die has very much to do with the way we live.
Oh, absolutely.
It will be sad and painful enough to leave this life, ourselves and our loved ones, behind when we've lived a full life. And imagine the agony that arises at the moment we realize that death is approaching or imminent, and we haven't been living our life at all. And when all we have been doing is pleasing others or chasing butterflies, and so in order to reduce suffering and dying, it is important to live our lives to the fullest. And from our authentic core at that. And when our time comes, we can sort of step back with grace. And in order to do that, we need a healthy sense of ourselves and who we are. Because a healthy sense of self makes also that we stand stronger as our vitality is connected with the universal connected source of our power and energy. And we will have the stamina to share our wisdom with our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, with the younger generation. So we leave a heritage. It will be easier for us to accept that it is up to others to be running the show in the world instead of being morose and resentful about it. So what I want to talk about with two people who have lived such a full life, continue to live a full life, is this a healthy sense of self, a healthy sense of peace, a healthy sense of being unafraid about the fact that tomorrow is not promised to you, and that you've reached the peace in your life, that your house is in order. How do we prepare for that in this thing we call life? I'll start with you, Dr. Fleischer.
Well, as you were talking, I was thinking, no, I'm not afraid to die. And I do feel as though I've lived. But I'm not ready yet. I've got so much more to do. And I don't know whether this makes each day better, or I think it does. I think that attitude makes each day better. I don't spend my days worrying about dying. I suppose if I had a terrible illness and knew that a lot of pain was ahead of me, I don't think I would be so brave. And I may then not fear death, but I might fear dying if I felt that was ahead of me. I don't know if that answers your question.
Doesn't answer your question.
Doesn't answer my question. That's the best question. Well, I don't spend my days worrying about this. I must say that it does cross my mind because I've lived through it. And although there was good in the fact that it wasn't a sudden death, in that we were both able to prepare for it and did prepare for it, the suffering was maybe mitigated by that to some extent. But I don't know if I were given a choice, if God were to look at me in the face and say, you have a choice of dying quickly or dying slowly with someone you love, I'm not sure what choice I'd make. It's still an open question.
You know,
all I can say is it does not consume, that worry does not consume my days, because I'm too busy to be thinking about it all the time.
But you know,
and I won't let it consume my life.
You know, Dr. Reese, getting old seems to me dealing with a loss of flexibility and use of bodily functions we have taken for granted. But maybe it doesn't have to be that way. Diminishing functions in our nervous system and of our senses may be a challenge we all will face. But what if we could eliminate the decay of happening by being alert and alive and in touch with our essence? On radios, dispensing ideas, sharing laughter, learning and growing. Because as our system weakens, we are more prone to disease, which in itself leads to problems of care and worry about the necessary financial resources. But what if we can greatly reduce all these ailments?
Well, that's certainly to be desired. And some of these things we can help to prevent or at least to mitigate by remaining as active as we can, as healthy as we can, taking care of ourselves. And that's all to the good. But I think what you say about staying alert and staying interested in life is what's really important. We can't control. There's so many things we can't control. We can do the best we can and accept changes. But we can control things like our interest in other people, our concern for other people, our ability to look outside ourselves at least occasionally and think about other things rather than focus on our own decline. And I think what happens too, Armstrong, is that if we're fortunate enough to be able to do it, if we start to look inward, also, we find that we can surprise ourselves, and that we, especially in terms of learning new things, and learning new things about what we can do and that we can still change. This is all very encouraging.
Dr. Thelma Reese, Dr. Bobby Fleischer, I'm Armstrong Williams. We have callers holding. We're going to get you.
Say bye-bye burgers, pass on the pizza, forget the francs. Anytime is party time. Discover Golden Cross's authentic Jamaican-style patties. Beef, chicken, vegetables, soya, spinach, and shrimp. Feast on our great taste sensations. Jerk chicken, ox scale, sliced fish, and much more. Savor the taste of the Caribbean. Only at a Golden Cross near you. A family tradition since 1949. GoldenCrossBakery.com.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams. What does it mean to be conservative? Freedom of speech, freedom of free enterprise, freedom of assembly, less government, less taxes. As a matter of fact, a flat tax. Everyone should pay proportional tax. It doesn't matter whether you make 100 million or 10,000. Everyone should pay their 10%. Everyone should have something at stake in this American economy. I'm Armstrong Williams expressing what we mean by conservative traditional value.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
America must change course if we hope to survive and save the American dream for our children and grandchildren. How do we fix Social Security and Medicare? How do we cut government spending? How do we reform health care? How do we simplify the tax code? The Heritage Foundation has a bold plan that tackles these tough problems using common sense solutions that leave partisan politics on the sidelines. Find out how we can save the American dream at savingthedream.org, paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams with an opportunity to own a piece of paradise in Nassau, Bahamas. Spectacular land prices, 8,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet lot, affordable prices, hilltop properties with views of the magnificent sea. Just call 242-677-3120 or 3121 or go to info@rightsidewire.com and leave your information.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
And welcome back to the broadcast, Dr. Bobby Fleischer, Dr. Thelma Reese. Alan, you have a question for the guest. Thank you for calling.
Greetings, Howard. How's everyone and the guest?
Just fine.
I have a question. In discussing life and managing it and dealing with later life, a question for either the guest or yourself. If early adulthood was the test and later adulthood is the retest, what would you actually grade yourself on both tests and why? I know it's incomplete, so that's not an option answer, but A through F at this stage of your life, what do you grade the first test and the last test, or the later test?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
Wow.
So it's not just you, Armstrong, it's your listeners, too, who have the interesting questions.
Yes, that's why we want to go live.
That's a great question.
Well, when I look back, I think there are lots of things I think, oh, did I do that? That was stupid, or did I think that? So I maybe don't give myself such a great mark for early, but I give myself better marks for later, because I think that I've become, reflective and have learned. I feel as though I've learned from earlier adulthood. I refuse to give a letter grade.
I'd like to just say, I'll echo that, and I'll say that I don't think anybody, when they reach later years, as far as we've gotten, for example, can ever look back and think they may think they did everything they could, but I think we all have to reach a point where we forgive ourselves for whatever we didn't do, and try to look at who we were then and say, well, we were probably doing the best we could. But that's in hindsight. You don't know how you would grade yourself as you go along. The only thing you can do is keep doing the best you can. But when you get older, the thing is you reach a vantage point where you can look back and say, well, I forgive myself for what I didn't do. I'm not going to obsess over what I should have done. And I'm going to keep doing the very best I can and be very grateful that I've reached the point that I'm at today.
And let go of the things that you are sorry about. Mm-hmm. I think there's a time to let go.
Alan, thank you for your question. You know, I want to build on what he just raised, because I thought it was very insightful. You know, our state of mental clarity seems obviously more prone to alter for the negative when we grow old. You know, I can see how that a cause for that could very well be that too many people lead a life, their own life, that seems to not even be, shall I say, about them. And to me, it isn't strange that when resilience starts to diminish, it is hard, if not impossible, to keep up with these performances that we used to call our lives. And so after a lifetime of living up to certain imposed or self-imposed conditions, there is no strong self to fall back on. Life is lived based on remembering learned behavior, but the memory, Dr. Fleischer and Dr. Reed's function, is getting old and is misused for so many years, so people get confused and begin to behave oddly. So my instinct is that we can be in better shape and extend the golden years considerably by leading a life that is true to who we really are deep down inside, instead of being an actor for someone else. And we extend our power by eliminating the stress and exhaustion that accompanies a life in which we are not in touch with ourselves, and our battery may last longer that way.
Well, I can say that I think at the heart of what you're saying is a really important truth, and that is the better you get to know yourself and are not giving a performance in your life for others, then you are more authentic and you are more comfortable. And I think that what that says about a person is that we reach a stage, if we're lucky, of acceptance. It's acceptance of what may be our limitations as we age, but it's also an acceptance of who we are. and we've been able to let go of negative feelings about ourselves. We have to accept ourselves and forgive ourselves and try to really live as well as we possibly can. And when I say as well, I'm not talking about materially. I'm talking about in our relationships with other people.
Yeah, I think we all know people who are so uncomfortable with themselves. Maybe they have dark feelings about themselves, that they control every aspect. They spend so much energy controlling how other people see them that they really don't have the pleasure or the good health. I mean mental health of spontaneity, the joy of spontaneity, because they are always concerned about how other people are going to see them. Is that bringing a new wrinkle into this?
It's an important
Don't
wrinkle.
talk about wrinkles, Bobby. We're too old for that.
You know what? Listen, I think it's important to thy own self be true.
Mm-hmm.
And we understand that we all are imperfect, and we're imperfect and will be that way until our death. Trying to live and act and behave and join certain clubs, drive the right kind of car, dress in the right kinds of clothes, having the right kind of smell and perfume and cologne. You know what? I've been to me. And you know what? My imperfections help complete who I am. No matter how much I have to work on them, they make me human. And so I am very comfortable with myself. I don't need to attend a party. I don't need to join a club to give myself credibility and to make myself feel special, you know. I feel special by the choices I make, the values, my foundation, how I treat people, how at the end of the day, no matter what the outcome is, I can say I gave it my best. And then I can sleep in peace. All I can do is give my best. Not what you define as the best, not what somebody else may define as the best, but my own standards of what that is. That may be making sure that I pray 3 times a day. That may be making sure I call my mother several times a day. That may be making sure that I read a book, a certain book that day. But it's what gives me value and what makes me feel good at the end of the day.
I think that's very true. And I think if everybody lived by that, we'd be a better world.
So you know, I want to get into something that is very delicate but empowering. Is that, do you ever wonder what actually does go through the mind of a senior citizen as they deal with the rapid and unpredictable everyday life surrounding them? And what is the thought process they go through, heavily influenced by the lives they've lived and the times in which they lived? Because each of us has our own point of view, which heavily impacts how we relate to others in our environment. And with 70 or 80 or more years behind you, is there a typical point of view for a senior citizen? And as we age and move to retirement, the life changes we will experience are, to put it mildly, are monumental. We cannot ignore simple realities as the things that we're talking about. We have to accept aging. When we retire, we abruptly exit the working world that has been the focus of our lives for 30 or 40 years or more, and we are now responsible for what we will do for the rest of our lives. Each day, including everything from meeting financial requirements to maintaining our health, to keeping mentally engaged, and ultimately enjoying being retired. And so a full dance card for sure. Those around us need to be aware that we're dealing with all of this for the first time with no prior experience to learn on, and any insight that you all can give may be helpful to those that are listening.
Is this a segue into our book?
Yes.
certainly is.
I mean, this is exactly what we are confronting with with our book, and with all of the people that we have been interviewing.
We're going to come back to it because I wanted to set up the segue for the last half hour of the show. Dr. Barbara Fleischer, Dr. Thelma Reese, and I'm just an instrument. We'll be back.
Armstrong Williams returns in a moment.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Life is full of unexpected changes. Everyone has potential to do wrong. And when they choose to do it, contact the Bucksell Group for your private investigation needs. TheBucksellGroup.com or by phone at 202-243-9746. Whether there's an instance of a cheating spouse, child custody, process service, or security, don't continue suspecting. Get closure so that you can move on with your life. Visit TheBucksellGroup.com now or call 202-243-9746. If you think it's happening, it probably is.
To travelers along the road of life who have fallen asleep at the wheel, to the many who woke up in time to avert disaster and get back on the righteous path. For the ones who crashed and survived and now adhere vigilantly to a virtuous and righteous path. Finally, Armstrong Williams' much-anticipated new book, Reawakening Virtues, gives his insights into these daily challenges and much more. Reawakening Virtues is available in bookstores and at Amazon.com.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
Elder Chicks is an exciting part of the fastest growing segment of the population. Women in their 70s, 80s, and older who are mastering the art of a senior life. We're no longer unseen and unheard. We're providing role models for each other and the baby boomers who are fast approaching retirement. Join our virtual community. Hit www.elderchicks.com on your computer keyboard.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
You know, people are like stained glass windows. They sparkle and shine when the sun is out, but when the darkness sets and their true beauty is revealed, only if there is a light within.
Oh, that's beautiful. There you go again, Armstrong. That is really a beautiful one.
Now, let's follow up to the segue we were making that you said, are you talking about our book?
Go ahead, Bobby.
Well, you asked, first of all, if there is a typical behavior. Now, we interviewed, hundreds of women, and we found out, no, there's not a typical behavior, but there are some commonalities among the people who seem to be really loving this time of their lives, feeling good about themselves, and feeling productive. And some of those commonalities are just the things that you were mentioning before. looking outside of yourself, not being so self-involved that you don't know what's going on around you, but certainly, but that doesn't mean you don't look inward. Looking inward means reflecting, thinking about things. But the people that we feel that we have noticed that reach out to others, have an interest in the world, are curious, remain curious, and want to learn new things and be a part of the world around them, instead of saying, "Oh, it's not any good anymore. It was good when I was young," or those kinds of things. But the people who have a genuine curiosity and are reaching out, they're the ones to us that seem not only the happiest, but also the most engaging. They're the people you want to talk to and be with.
Yeah, we do hear occasionally from people who say, "Oh, the world is so terrible now, and it was so great when I was young." Well, actually, it probably wasn't, but they're probably really focused on how they are feeling, and feeling sometimes overwhelmed by all the changes. And it's true, we are living in a time of such rapid change that it can overwhelm older people, especially because the technology is so pervasive now and so rapidly changing. It's hard to keep up. But the people who are resilient enough to roll with that and say, "Okay, I may not learn everything I have to know about a computer, but it's not going to ruin my life if I don't. I can still function. I still use my phone, and maybe I even do use email, or my kids have set up Skype. But I'm interested in the fact that all of these changes are taking place. And I do see a lot of it as progress. The person who can say that and mean it is in a much better place in old age than the people who have just given up and said, "I want to stay in my own little bubble now." We see this definitely these differences among the people that we've interviewed.
You know what you're saying. I get a chance to spend a lot of time with my 87-year-old mother. Mm-hmm. And what you're echoing is something I'd like for you to talk about even more. I'm going to call it frustration. And what I mean by frustration, after a lifetime of working to build a life for yourself and your family, retirement finally arrives, and you suddenly discover the ground rules have changed. I mean, challenges to senior health lurk around each corner as time starts to take its toll on the aging bodies. And what used to be such a simple task to bend over to pick up a drop magazine is now not too easy. And getting out of bed is no longer a matter of simply sitting up. Instead, we resort to more of a rolling motion to generate the momentum necessary to rise, and entertaining our grandchildren for the afternoon exhausts us, and we are only too ready for the parents to return, and walks around the neighborhood become shorter as we may tire more easily. And all of those changes, and there are many more, but all of those changes take their toll and can lead to frustration in seniors who finally have the time to do what they want to do, but increasingly are not physically too able to do so. And the mind is willing, but the body is not as able as you'd like for it to be.
Well, it's a good time, though, for families to have offspring like you, Armstrong, because the difference can be very dramatic when there are children and grandchildren who are sensitive to these changes in the old people in their families. It doesn't mean that they become patronizing or treat the elders like children themselves, but it does mean that they make allowances and change their expectations of what those people will do. Bobby, do you remember when we went to a senior center and one of the women there, who was terrific, who was about 90, said she now no longer makes the potato salad for everybody for the family reunion. You know, that was her concession.
Right.
Being old. She said, I am content to be a guest and let everybody else do the cooking. So she's accepting her limitations. She's even letting herself enjoy some of the...
Not being in charge.
Right, right. Letting other people be in charge of some of it. Giving up some of that responsibility is fine for her now.
So it's all about what you're talking about is losing the loss of control, because while in your prime, you were respected and your opinions were valued. People would check in with you first to be sure, of course, of the action met with your approval. And then heaven help the miscreant who attempted to impose their will on your life without your blessing. But again and again, aging undermines the normal lifestyles as others start making important decisions for you. And family members concerned about that inability to drive may apply pressure for you to give up keys, and along with that, a significant piece of your own independence. And everyone is concerned about what you eat and feels free to chastise a little indulgence in front of the rest of the world. And then ultimately, if your mental or physical health fails to the point where you cannot safely care for yourself, others begin discussions and plans for removing you to a retirement home.
Yeah, that's very tough.
You know, that respect and independence that you've earned through your life phase as those around you make important life decisions for what they consider to be your own good. And so the loss of control, Dr. Fleisch and Dr. Reese, over your own destiny can be dispiriting at best for a senior citizen.
Well, I guess the important thing there is for the children, because it's usually the children who are feel they must make these decisions, that they don't make these decisions before their parents need to have those decisions made for them. We've come across people who have, I won't say forced, they didn't chain them and force them, but exerted great pressure on their parents to come and move to where they are, forcing them in a way, to give up whatever they had, friendships that were years, in the making, because the children found it more comfortable for them. Now, of course, they didn't say that. They would say, well, we want you to be closer where we can keep an eye on you, and so on. But, I mean, there comes a time in some people's lives when that has to be done. But sometimes it is done by the children before the parents are really ready for that.
But I say there's a better way of doing it. Listen, I never want my mother to give up control, even when she wants to give up control. So you know what? When she's in the kitchen and she's cooking those collards, and then she puts all the water in the collards, she'll say, you probably don't think I should lift this, do you? Well, I said, Ma, I know you can lift it now. I know you're tough, but now if you want me to lift it, I sure would. She said, well, why don't you come lift it for me then? And then I'll go lift it. And then I said, now, you work hard in the kitchen. Are you sure you don't want to wash those dishes? She said, well, it's not just a little mess of things. I said, but I don't mind washing them because you got to wring that water and keep washing them. She said, well, if you want to wash them, go ahead. And then later on, when she's about to sleep, she said, boy, I appreciate your doing that for me because I was tired. I didn't want to say anything. But at least it's on her terms.
And at least you didn't say to her, Mom, don't pick up that pot. I'm afraid you're going to drop it.
No, would never. That's right. Even if she dropped the pot, I would get down there and clean it up. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Well,
We'll be back. We're coming back. We're coming back. Don't go away.
Armstrong.
Say bye-bye burgers. Pass on the pizza. Forget the francs. Anytime is party time. Discover Golden Cross's authentic Jamaican-style patties. Beef, chicken, vegetables, soya, spinach, and shrimp. Feast on our great taste sensations. Jerk chicken, oxtail, sliced fish, and much more. Savor the taste of the Caribbean. Only at a Golden Cross near you. A family tradition since 1949. GoldenCrossBakery.com.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933.
America must change course if we hope to survive and save the American dream for our children and grandchildren. How do we fix Social Security and Medicare? How do we cut government spending? How do we reform health care? How do we simplify the tax code? The Heritage Foundation has a bold plan that tackles these tough problems using common sense solutions that leave partisan politics on the sidelines. Find out how we can save the American dream at savingthedream.org, paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sports shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
And you know, I don't want anyone to think that it's just me who's that way with my mother. All of my brothers and sisters are the same identical way. The same.
Well, she did something right.
Right.
Well, no, you know what? She's a boss. She likes being in control. And let me tell you something. She tickles me. I'm sorry. She just tickles me because you know what? I can read her like a book, but I don't say anything unless she asks. Unless she says, I said, no problem. Because she knows we'll do whatever. But she still cooks. She still cleans. She still washes clothes and hang them out on the clothesline. And I think it's good for her to be active.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. But you know what that is? That's more than you all love your mother. That's also showing her respect.
Yes, and we respect her. You kidding me? Yes.
Right. That is acknowledging that she's still the person she was. You know, she's still inside. She's still able to be the boss among you.
And she has to feel as though she's still the boss. And the thing about it, it's so funny because sometimes she cannot recall. She's very proud of herself that she can recall all of the children's birthday, the date and the year. And so she was recalling it for me, and she forgot. I said, oh, listen, now I know you can figure that out. I said, just stop, Ma. She said, no, boy. I said, oh, Ma, come on. I know you can remember. Oh, please. You're the best at this. And she kind of smiled, and then she remembered. Because you got to encourage and reinforce it. You know, you got to, oh, yeah, Ma.
Right.
Yes. And you know what it's all about? It's not about you. You know, when you've lived that long, you know, I realize that in my life now, my role is to serve my mother. I'm like a shepherd, you know, and I'm there to shepherd and protect her. It's not about me. When I go home, I never visit anyone. My role is just stay at home, and even if she's doing nothing but talking about the chickens and the cows, I just sit there and act as though I'm very interested and engaged in the conversation. She likes to watch The Price is Right. She likes to watch so I sit there and I get excited. When she gets excited, and I say to her, I say, you know what? I bet you've watched this so long. You should be a contestant on there. I bet you could win. Oh, boy.
Well, I know you make her day every time you're there.
And she makes mine. It's a two-way street.
Yeah.
But explain to our listeners why that is so important. The interaction be the child, no matter how old they are, and their parent.
Absolutely. Well, it's genuinely helpful in terms of their own mental health and agility. And it's important in another way. And that way is that one day when, like everyone else, she's not here any longer, you're going to have this great feeling that you did what you should and could. And I think there's no substitute for knowing that.
And, you know, I think another thing, I think when you treat your parents in a certain way, you are models for the next generation in how they should be. I think that when they see you showing respect to your parents, not infantilizing them, not taking control, wresting control from them, I think that the next generation uses that as a model, and then they themselves know how to behave. I mean, you're a role model for the next generation, and I think that's an important thing also.
And what is the thing that senior citizens want most when they reach the golden years of their 70s, 80s, and 90s? What is it that they value most?
You mean besides wishing they were young again?
Well, besides that.
You know what, Armstrong, I don't really mean that. That's just a joke. Because I really don't. I really don't wish I were young again. I hope I can enjoy this for as long as I can, but I do think that I'm getting what it is that most people really want deep down inside, and that is a sense of doing one's best and still having something to say and contribute to the world and to the people around you, the people you love. I think that's what people want. They don't want to feel that they don't have a place.
Oh yes, that's so well said. I agree totally.
You know, it's the other thing I like for you to talk about is the loneliness. You know, the elderly are all too familiar with how frail life is as friends and family members become ill and they start passing on, and what used to be a long list of friends and acquaintances begins to dwindle, and increasingly they're left to their own resources to find entertainment and fulfillment and retirement.
Yeah, that part is very hard for.
Yeah, that is a big problem. And everybody wants to live for a long time and live well, but they know that the company that they can keep is diminishing. Yeah. There are fewer and fewer people that are left. Sometimes they're, either through death or through mental disintegration or physical disintegration.
Yes, I think that's one of the toughest things.
Yeah.
Seeing
Now, fortunately,
go.
I was going to say that fortunately this is changing, and there are more people surviving who are in better shape mentally, physically, than there used to be, where this used to be a sort of a pyramid. I was just looking at some population demographics this week, and where it used to be a pyramid, there were fewer and fewer people at the top on this particular graph that I was looking at, and it compared in 1950 to what is true, it happened to be in 2010, where it's like a rectangle. People stay alive and in better condition until 90s and 100s, and then they die. I don't know if I'm saying this right. There are more people who remain in better, living better, older than there used to be.
Yeah, this is actually factual. This is changing.
Yeah.
We have more older people in better shape than we ever had before in the world.
And in fact, it looks more like a rectangle if you're going to put all those people on a graph than as it used to be, which was like a triangle.
With very few at the very oldest.
Right.
Now there are more people, and so there are also on this upside that we're talking about, there are so many more opportunities for older people to even stay in their homes and still find all kinds of communal activities with other people. Most big cities now have organizations that are not only places that you go to, but also the kinds of organizations that have walks together around the city or lectures. I've been giving some to older people. I try to act like I'm not as old as they are, but I am.
Let's try to slip in one last call. Alan has another question he'd like to ask. He's been
Yes, I'm sorry for the second call.
Go ahead, Alan. Go ahead.
The topic is so intriguing, making me think outside of my box. I guess hitting 50 soon, is just intriguing to me. But what do you think? And I'm seriously thinking about this. There are a lot of children that are in placement homes because the fathers and mothers are away or are just not able to be there. What about putting together the elderly in sponsorships? They go to basketball games and track, like my son, where they can get a support staff, support team rather, of the elderly that have nothing else to do or looking for things to do, to be able to sponsor some of the kids just to go out and cheer for them.
There are organizations that do that. I think there is always room for so many more. That's such a wonderful thing to have intergenerational activities.
Everybody benefits.
Oh,
Everybody
yes.
benefits.
It's just a wonderful, wondrul idea. And
there are some things, I know a couple of social agencies that I've heard of that have grandparenting programs where older people can volunteer and they will pair them with kids who don't have grandparents around or older people
or even
in their
parents
lives.
around.
But I think that idea, Alan, of
wonderful
getting together people who would go to cheer a team even, it is just fabulous.
That is a good idea. Listen, you got to tell us how we can get more information on both of you in the little time that we have remaining. This has been such a wonderful and such a across-the-board diverse conversation about seniors and their issues.
Well, people can read our blog, which is www.elderchicks.com, and you'll read things that a lot of very smart older women are saying, and sometimes men write on the blog. And our book will be out in October or November, and we know, Armstrong, that you will talk about it.
We will talk about it because this is your platform. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
All the best.
Another wonderful hour spent.
Yes.
Thank you.
I couldn't
Thank
agree
you.
more. Thank you both.
Armstrong Williams on the right side.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightside.com.